Welcome to this walking meditation. Thank you for joining me. You're going to be listening to this as you're outside for a walk. And we're going to go through a number of awareness practices for the full fascial network. So this is going to be helpful if you feel like you want to loosen up tension in your body. Perhaps you have a joint or an area that's kind of under repetitive strain. We definitely want to do the rolling and the stretching and all that work. And we also want to know how else can we deepen our experience with our body? What more can we become aware of to help us kind of carry ourselves in a different way, to help build new neurological pathways, to help perhaps activate or deactivate certain muscles and certain fascial tissues. So as you step out for your walk, just really grounding, like taking a hard look or a soft look around you and noticing the colors, the patterns, and the textures, the smells, and the colors. And just getting really present. So we're trying to kind of empty the mind with this deep sense of presence. The more the body, the fascial network can sense that presence, the more we can drop into a rest and digest. So we're out of that sympathetic danger zone. You're walking, you're breathing, you're holding your fascial network in a loose way, so your body doesn't really have much to be activated about. Okay, so whether that means you're kind of slowing down your pace, finding a pace that works for now, and you're going to hold that fascial network in a very loose way. Noticing the head and the neck. Allowing your head to kind of bobble around our neck and our jaw, the survival muscles. So those muscles will always want to perk up. Just allowing the head to literally bobble. And then carrying that bobble into the rest of your body. Just taking your tissues out for a walk. And continue this bobbling all the way down your body. Allowing your rib cage to move freely, allowing your upper body to swing as your legs step forward. And as we continue walking here, we're going to start drawing awareness to the breath. Taking a couple of deep breaths. Now, whether you're breathing through your nose or your mouth, you want the breathing to feel easy. You want the passageways of breath to feel clear so that you will actually want to breathe. So if you do notice you get a little phlegmy, if it comes out of your mouth, I would spit that out. Our body has little filters, and when it pushes things up, it's a great sign that we want to release that. Any mucus in the body slows our body down and creates stagnation. I usually bring a bunch of tissues on my walk because I get a bunch of cerebral spinal fluid flowing out of my nose. And if I don't clear it, then I tend to hold my breath. So just keeping those airway passages clear so that breathing is easy. Going back to noticing your fascial network and how you're holding as you walk. Staying present with the textures, colors, scents, temperatures around you. And emptying the mind. Noticing the expansion of your rib cage as you take a couple of big breaths. So the lungs are one of the most important muscles that we want to expand capacity of. A lot of times we're only using 10 to 20% of our lung capacity. Either we're breathing shallow, we're stuck in a survival inhale, or we have a bunch of residual air sitting in the bottom of our lungs because we are more stuck in an inhale position. So as you continue walking, this is a good time to take those deep breaths, exert the lung capacity, play with it, and remember that it's a muscle that we get to train. And the more oxygen we can start delivering to our tissues and our muscles, the more strength those muscles have. So as we exercise, the breath is what keeps us going because we're delivering oxygen to the muscles, and we expect those muscles to keep contracting. And the same thing goes for organs. As the organs are functioning, they're expecting oxygen and water. These are the two life force energy sources for the organs. So if we're only using 10 to 20% of our actual lung capacity, that means over the years, our organs will start to decrease in function and their optimization will decrease because they're really not getting the sources of energy that they need. Drawing attention to the lower part of your lungs. This is where the oxygen transfer happens between your lungs and the rest of the body. So if you feel taking a few deep, or I should say forced exhales at the bottom, just kind of pressing your stomach muscles in a little bit. So it'll sound a little something like this. Pushing out the air at the bottom. I've already been walking for a while, so lungs are pretty warmed up. Remembering the lungs are just like any other muscle. So even if you're exercising, you're warming up, or you're exercising or you're walking, you want to allow those lungs to warm up, not going from 0 to 100, giving the lungs and the heart muscle a chance to understand that you're moving into a place where the expectations are increasing. So it can start rallying all of the muscle contractions that it needs in order to do this amount of work that you want it to do. So this is part of the reason why we kind of get stuck in a certain level of intensity of exercise and a certain number of reps, is because we're not using our lung capacity into its fullest. We kind of stop when we feel a little bit of a pant because we're just using that top half, 10 to 20% of our lungs. We really want to be maybe slowing down the movements, perhaps even holding one single pose and breathing through that and allowing the full lungs to exert. Continuing to draw awareness through the fascial network and that bobby, loosey, goosey feeling. And as you continue walking here, drawing awareness to your feet and how your feet feel in your shoe and how your feet roll in your shoe and your shoe rolls along the surface. Noticing if there's more pressure or more weight on one foot than the other. Noticing your stride. So when your heel hits the ground, that's the heel strike. And then we move into the midfoot touches the ground. And then the toe off. The toe off phase is one where we kind of lose as well. We stop exerting our full range of ankle mobility. So the muscles in our feet and ankles and the fascial tissue gets tighter because it starts to sense this decreased range. Like this seems like a good range. Let's pack on all the fibrous tissue here and just function within this small range. And we get issues like plantar fascia, and this travels up the network as we go into the knees. The fascial network starts tensing and creating more tension because it wants to limit movement and it wants to protect the knees. The knees might have been fine, but because of any ankle any reduction in ankle or foot mobility, the body does what it does, which is supports us. The fascial network is always supporting the body. So if it senses any instability, it will pack on the tension there to decrease movement in that area. So as you continue walking, noticing your heel strike and your toe off. And so at the end of the toe off, you're almost ending up in like a ballerina toe point. Your ankle is in that motion. And the more you can build strength by pushing off with the pads of your foot, the more the body can sense that there is strength in this range of motion. And when the body senses strength, it senses stability and it senses safety. And when it senses safety, it starts to release and it starts to open and it starts to reduce tension where it is no longer needed. So a lot of times we experience things like plantar fasciitis or shin splints or different knee issues. And we go to the therapist and we do the exercises and we do the stretches, which are amazing. However, the other hours that we spend walking, what kind of surface are we walking on? How do our foot mechanics work? Is very impactful to make long-term changes so we don't continuously keep managing the same repetitive strains. So the work that you're doing is amazing, is what I'm trying to say. Listening to this walking meditation, getting deeper awareness of how your body moves is just so powerful. So amazing. Going back to your breath and your pathways. Noticing if your inhales are getting any longer. So about a 4-second inhale is usually a good sign. That's pretty good. It can go all the way to 8 seconds. But remember, the lungs are a muscle that needs to be trained. So it's an awareness process. And as you continue going on walks, you continue deepening your experience with your body and how it moves, how it lands on the floor, how your heels land, how your midfoot is placed. Does one foot turn out? Does one ankle roll in? Does one knee kind of seem to roll in a little? And you're just deepening that awareness, becoming an expert of your own body. And as you continue your stride, noticing what muscles engage with each phase of your stride. So as your heel strikes, we want that heel strike to engage the back line of the body, so the hamstrings and the glutes. And as you push off, really trying to push off, and that will engage the calves. Noticing the fascial network and allowing the body to feel loose and breathing. Allowing the stomach to relax if there's any ounce of pulling it in. Just allowing the belly to hang loose. Now, if there's any women listening who actually, no, men too. I was going to say any pregnant women, but for anybody listening, the pelvic bowl and those muscles there are so essential to start also drawing awareness to those muscles as well. I don't even think we use 10 to 20% of our pelvic floor muscles. I think some of us are closer to 0 and 5%. But we want to start just drawing awareness to those muscles, allowing the belly to relax. We really don't want to be flexing or clenching the core, but you're just closing the pelvic bowl. Like if it was a suction at the bottom, you would just kind of pull up on that suction. And notice the impact that has on the rest of your fascial network. And just drawing awareness, it'll come and go. Everything will come and go. But if you are a walker or you enjoy walking, there's some things here that we can pay attention to perhaps decrease tension around any joints or inflammation of any areas that are being over engaged. And then after your walk, spending time to stretch all these beautiful muscles out. Take time to move them through their full range of motion. So whether you're putting your leg up onto the bench or you're going into a forward fold to open up your whole back line, or you're doing a supported back bend over the ball, or you do a little bit of foam rolling for your quads and your glutes, or you just drop into a nice hot shower. Just something to allow these muscles to come into a resting state. Exercise is hardening for the fascial network. So we want to make sure we are doing the lubricating. We're hydrating not only through our mouths, but we are hydrating the tissues by breathing into them, allowing them to rest, not stuck in a hypertonic state. This goes for the chest and the diaphragm and the rib cage and the neck and the throat and the jaw and the lungs. So sometimes if you feel like you're yawning a lot, this is a call from the body that it wants more oxygen. So you can make yourself yawn and really start exerting those lungs, drawing awareness to those lungs. So those lungs are given attention and we can start building more neurological connections to the lungs so we can take that 10 to 20% capacity and turn it into 20 and 25 and 30 and 35, and suddenly your inhales are longer and they're fuller and your body's taking in more oxygen, which is more life force for your muscles, for your organs. And when your organs are working functionally, they're optimal, they're producing hormones, they're burning fat, they're doing all of the tasks that they can do that are not essential. Burning fat is not essential. So if our liver is only functioning between 10 to 20%, fat burning is going to be one of the first things to go. And the second thing to go is most likely going to be sex hormone production. So testosterone, estrogen, and progesterone. Those are our life force hormones for men and women. So we definitely want to make sure our liver is getting all the oxygen and all the water it needs. It's getting the downtime. It's getting the lubrication. We're stretching. We're rolling regularly. We're massaging. We're really getting into a new level of depth with how we care for our bodies and all the layers. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Thank you so much for joining me on your walk. If you have any questions, please send them in or write a comment here. Feel free to share this. Hit up with a like and a comment if you love it. And if it helped you, then that's amazing. Have an amazing walk and remember to loosen and soften and bobble around that fascial network as much as possible. Bye-bye.